Yes. Hello, everyone. Again, we are live with a new topic in network security. And hello, my name is Rohit, working again in Indian cybersecurity solution as a cybersecurity analyst. So let's get started with today's topic on network security, on how do you deploy a firewall, how do you configure a firewall. So in this particular demonstration, this live session, we'll be trying to deploy a firewall where we'll be doing DHCP and DNS configuration. Apart from that, we'll be doing hardware configuration as well as software configuration of the firewall. So let's get started with it. Let me present my screen. So here is the topic of firewall management and configuration. So what is a firewall? Basically a security tool that we use to filter out traffic that is used to protect our data as well as system from unauthorized access. Okay, it is used to save our, or it is used for safeguarding the digital asset of a company, of an infrastructure. So we'll try to understand firewall. Basically, it's a monitoring as well as controlling the flow of internal and external network. They acts as a gatekeeper for every packet. They enforce some policies to protect the infrastructures from unauthorized access and any kind of cyber threats. Okay, and talking about the different types and architecture of firewalls. So we have packet filtering firewall, stateful inspection firewall, we have application gateway firewall, we have unified threat management. So different types and different architectures of firewalls are there. And talking about the different types again, if we just go to our Cisco packet tracer. Okay, so this is a network simulation tool that we use to simulate how a data gets transmitted from one network device to another network device, or one endpoint to another endpoint. So here we have network devices. In the network devices, we have routers, switches, hub, wireless devices, and it comes in security. In the security, we have the ASA, Cisco ASA firewalls, and this is basically used for providing security to the infrastructure. Let the infrastructure be something like this. Let me just label it. Let the infrastructure looks something like this. So a firewall will have two sides. The one that is connected to the outside wall, that will be the outside side, and the one that is connected to the private network is what we call as the private or inside part. Okay. So I'll take some laptop. Okay, we have taken 3 laptops here. How does it look like in physical? How does the firewall look like in a physical world? So I'll click on physical, and here we have, let me just go out of it, 3 laptops we have, and here you can see the firewall. Okay, so this is how our firewall look like. The Cisco ASA firewall looks like. Right click on it, inspect the front. I can zoom in, zoom out. I can inspect the cable also. Rear inspect is also there. So just move out of it. Here we have laptops, and this is not how laptop we keep it. Maybe down. Yeah. So here we have 3 laptops. We'll connect the laptops to the firewall by the help of switch. Switch is basically used to connect many devices and helps in configuration if they belong to the same network. So for same devices, this straight through. For different devices, it is straight through cable, and for same it will be cross over one. You need to label it. By default, the labeling of the interfaces are not been there. That's why you need to go to option preference, and you need to label it. Always click on always port label in the logical workspace, and it will print out or show us the port number that is connected to different devices. Just click on forward button. It takes time to learn the CMA table. Okay. Now to do this firewall configuration, if you observe in the physical space here, in the physical state, let me zoom in. Firewall doesn't have any kind of screen. So for that, we need to use some kind of PC or a laptop to configure it. Let me just go to console cable. Let's use the console cable from here to RS232. Right click or go to that laptop, go to terminal, click on OK, and you will be inside the Cisco SA firewall. Okay, this is how you configure or you connect to the firewall and do the configuration. So what all options are there? I don't know. When you press the question mark, we have enabled to go into privilege mode. So I can type privilege, enable. What is the password? By default, this Cisco password will be nothing. If it is there, it will be written in the default configuration box. Hit enter. We are inside the enable. We are inside the configuration mode now. I'll just press some to write it down. Okay. So after that, where we need to go? We need to go and configure the whole interface. We are trying to configure this as a DHCP server as well as DNS server also. So I'll just close this one for now. I'll label it. Let me label this server IP address at this particular interface as 192.168.0.1. Okay, and these all places will have different IP addresses. So if I just go back to my PC, we go to configure terminal. We are inside configure terminal now. And now what we can do, if I type question mark, we have a lot of option. We need to go to this particular interface of gigabyte 111. So I'll type the command interface gigabyte 1/1, hit enter. What is the IP address of it? IP add question mark. So we have few uh few configuration that we can do, like we can do DHCP, we can do host name. So I'll give the IP address. Let's suppose it is 192.168.0.1. Okay, if I press enter, it will be wrong. We have to give a network ID, subnet mask also. Hit enter. Okay, we have done the configuration. We have given the IP address to this particular interface of the firewall. Now what we can do, we need to label whether it is an inside network or whether it is an outside network. Let me explain that one for a bit. Look at this particular diagram. Okay, if you observe that one side of the firewall is connected to the internet, whereas another side is connected to the router and the corporate network. So this part becomes the internal network or the inside network, whereas this part becomes the external or the public network. Here we provide a high amount of security, here we provide low amount of security. So if I just go back to my router configuration, sorry, firewall configuration, here we need to type the command something like name if question mark, and give the name to the interface. I'll give the name of the interfaces inside. Okay, the security level of inside is set to 0. I don't want the security to be set of the inside network to be 0. I want to set it to the highest level possible. If I press question mark, we have these options of delay, channel, group. Security level is there. So if I just type the command security level question mark, we have the security level of the interface. I'll give 100. That is the highest one. I'll hit enter. So this is for the connection of this interface of the firewall. Okay, now what we can do, we can type the command no shutdown to make to enable that particular interface. To make it green, we can type the command no shutdown. It is green now. Exit out of this place. We have configured the firewall. What I can do now, I can do DHCP as well as DNS configuration. For that we need to type the command DHCP question mark. What we need to do, we need to say the address. We need to set the address question mark. You need to give the range now. What range can you give it? You need to give something like this: 192.168.0.10 to 192.168.0. Let's suppose 15. Okay, hit enter. Incomplete command it says. Let's type question mark again. Okay, name of that interface, it is inside one. Hit enter. Yeah, this range of IP address belongs to the inside or the corporate network. We can do the DNS configuration also. We can type DHCPD question mark. If you observe here, we have something called as the DNS. Configure the IP address of the DNS. Let's go and configure the IP address of the DNS. And what is the IP address of the domain name system? 192.168.0.1. Okay, now it is done, and we need to enable it. So type the command DSCP enable inside, enable the whole configuration, hit enter. Now you exit out of this place, write the configuration WR. It's not working, incomplete command. Okay, let's see. Okay, write in the memory, save the active. Okay, write in the memory. Okay, so now what I can do, I can just go to the PC, I can go to desktop, I can go to IP configuration. In place of giving statically the IP address, I can click on DHCP. DHCP request is successful. You can observe that the start of the IP range is from wherever we have given. This is the range. It starts from 192.168.0.10. So if you observe here, it started from 10. The default gateway is 192.168.0.1. That is nothing but the firewall IP address. DNS server is that same thing only. I'll close it. I'll go and check for other places. Go to desktop, go to IP configuration, click on DHCP. DHCP is successful. Go to this place, go to desktop, go to IP configuration and click on DHCP. It will be successful. Okay. Now what else can we do? We can go and check whether DNS is working properly by going to the web browser and giving the DNS IP. That is 192.168.0.1. It is 192.168.0.1. Hit enter. This is connection reset, server reset connection. So it's still working. We need to set up the HTML pages. We need to set up the pages. So this is how you configure your firewall. ASA, Cisco ASA firewall as a DHCP server as well as a DNS one. DHCP and DNS. Okay, so this is your hardware that you can configure. Software firewalls are also there that you can configure in a server or in a PC. So let me just scroll down, take few PCs, take a server. Let's go and bring a switch if you want to connect everything. Let's put everything in the same network. So it belongs to, let me just highlight it. Labeling is important. It is like a blueprint for your infrastructure. So if you label it, you will better understand it. You give the network ID. Let's suppose the network ID is 192.168.0.0. It's in my mind 192.168 class C private. Okay. And everything you need to connect it. If you want to do it fast, take the automatic cable from here till here and here, then from here to this server. Place it in a proper order so that it looks a bit good. Okay. So every IP address will be something in the range of 192.168.0. So let me label it out. Let's suppose the server IP address is 192.168.0.1. This PC will be 0.10, 192.168.0.10. Let this be 192.168.0.20, and this be 192.168.0.30. We need to go and do the configuration. First, we'll go to the server, give the IP address to the server. Let's go to the desktop. How does this server looks like in real life scenario? Go to physical. We have the rack, and this is how our server looks like. Okay, this is how our server looks like. This with that thing is what our server is. Okay, so here we have, yeah, here we have a switch, we have firewall, we have a server and another switch. And if I zoom out, we have two tables, some PCs, two laptops. Okay, we'll go to the server. We'll go to desktop. We'll do IP configuration. Give the IP address to the server. And what is the IP address of the server? It is 192.168.0.1. Hit enter. Default gateway DNS server. You can configure it if you wish to. Let me go and configure this PCs also. Desktop IP configurations, and here is the IP address. I guess 20 it is. Yep. Let's go to PC5. Do the same thing. It is 30. 192.168.0.30. Close. Okay. What I can do now is do the firewall. Before that, I'll try to send a packet from one place to another place. Firewall is nothing but set of rules. Yeah, everything is successful. You can observe here. Everything is successful. If I just go to simulation, so you can see where the packet is being going. If you click on the seconds, you will observe the OSI model here. Yeah. You can observe the OSI model here. It is in layer number 2. You can see the MAC addresses and layer number 1 protocol, which is fast. And if I click on this one, we'll get the information about the OSI model information. Okay. Now what I want you, like what we want to do now is, okay, I don't want to ping. The ping should not be there, because if an attacker is outside, somehow connected to the network, but this is the attacker, if he tries to ping it, they will be able to get an idea what kind of operating system it might be running, right? Based on the time to live field, we can observe what kind of operating system it might be. So let's suppose this is an attacker connected from here to here. I'll name this as attacker. Okay, and I'll give the IP address to the attacker. Somehow he got connected. He will do social engineering, come to your network 192.168.0.40, let's suppose. Okay, when he goes to the command prompt and we try to ping the server 0.1, requested timeout, and we are getting replies. You can observe that we are getting replies based on the time to live field. We are able to guess that it is a Windows server. Yeah, it is a Windows server. If it was 64, maybe it can be Linux server also. Minimize it. And what I wanted to do, like what we want to do, is configure the firewall in such a way that no one should be able to ping it. Okay, so we take the action, we deny. What type of protocol we want to deny? We want to deny the ICMP protocol because it is used for pinging purpose. The remote IP address, it should be 0.0.0.0, everyone. And the router or the remote wildcard mask is 255.255.255.255. Click on add. And what else you are going to allow? You're going to allow the TCP or IP connection. Same, allow it for everyone. And the wildcard mask remains the same. Okay, now click on add button. Okay, now click on switch on. Let's try if the attacker or anyone inside the network is able to ping. You can observe that the pinging is failing. Okay, what if the attacker can ping it again? Can the attacker ping it again? Okay, if the attacker cannot ping it, the attacker might think that this particular firewall or this particular system or the server is not live, and in that way it will try to switch its victim, right? So here you can see it is not pinging, but it is live, but it is live. Okay, so if you do the DNS configuration, let's go and do the DNS configuration. Name of it is hacker, and give the IP address 192.168.0.1. Click on add. Let's do the DNS configuration in any switches. 192.168.0.1. So now if this particular configuration PC goes to the website and checks for any kind of web page the server is using, they will be able to see it. So it is 192.168.0.1. Hit enter, you are able to get the website. What if I type hacker.com? What if I try here? What if I try in PC number 4? It is 192.168.0.1, and we are able to get it. What is the use of this DNS? If I don't remember this particular IP address, I will be able to log in by the help of name. So it is 192.168.0.1. By typing hacker, you will be able to get the website. Opening web browser is bit time consuming in this Cisco packet tracer. What if I type hacker? Yep, we are getting the same page. So we have not configured DNS in this attacker machine. What if I go to web browser of the attacker machine, and if I try to see the website by typing the domain name, that is hacker. Let's see if we are getting the website. See, host name is unresolved. Okay, so main purpose of this software firewall is what, like, we can use this to block the ping request. No one should be able to ping us ICMP ping. We are allowing the IP addresses, so we can access the system or the website by the help of IP addresses. What about the attacker? What about the attacker? Attacker will be able to guess if they are able to ping. If the time to leave value is 128, it is a Windows machine. If it is 64, it can be a Linux machine. What about the hardware configuration? Here we did the hardware configuration of firewall. We use a DHCP and DNS configuration to configure all the PCs, and we configured the hardware firewall by the help of a laptop using a console cable. Right. So this is your general idea about your firewall. So how do you deploy a firewall? Like, you can do network segmentation, perimeter defense in depth. You can do packet inspection, packet filtering. Different set of rules and managements are there. Rules and set managements are there. And if I just go back, apart from firewall, we have some other type of security tools and appliances that we can use to protect our network in IDS and IPS. So if you observe here that in this inside zone, we have kept the security level as 100. In the real example also, we have kept it as, this side we have kept it as 100. Let me just go to the server. Let me just go to the PC, come out of it, and we look for all the running configuration. So running configuration, hit enter. It will tell us all the running configuration, all the configuration that we have set. Okay. You observe here that we have configured the DHCP this one, right? Apart from that, what else we have configured? Gigabyte 1 this one. You observe the security level that is set to 100. As it is a private network, that's why we have set it to 100. If it was a public network, the security level we set it to 0. Another zone is also there, that is called as the DMZ, that is demilitarized zone. Was the use of it, like it is a semi-trusted environment. The inside the private network employees or the users will be trusting less to this DMZ hosts. So that's all for the live session for today. We have discussed about firewall configuration, some basics of firewall configuration. How do you configure the hardware? In the hardware configuration, we have seen DHCP and DNS. And after that, we have configured a software firewall where we have demonstrated the how can an attacker can guess the operating system if they are able to ping, there is another way to, like, not to disclose the time to live field. If you don't disclose the time to live field, that also is a good tactics. Maybe Google does it. Let's observe Google. Let's go to command prompt and we try to ping google.com. See if they are able to disclose the time to live field. No, they are not disclosing the time to live field, right? This is a good news for the Google, because attacker who is able to ping them, okay, it is fine, but they are not able to guess the operating system google.com is using. Okay, so this is all for the today's demonstration on firewalls, on hardware as well as software firewalls. We will see you again in another live session with some another interesting topic. Maybe it will be based on Cisco packet tracer, or it can be related to cybersecurity. It can be related to ethical hacking also. Till then, see you and take care.